Now the topic before us is exploring the legal tender status of checks. Firstly, we should understand the meaning of legal tender. Legal tender means currency or money which has been declared to be the valid for the purpose of making transactions or as a medium of exchange for the purpose of buying goods and services or making payment of debts. If we are living in India and we want to purchase an item, we can make the payment in currency notes or coins. If we are living in USA, we can make the payment in dollars. They are legal tender because these are backed by the government or the central bank of the country, and the persons or the businesses in the relevant country cannot refuse to accept the payment in currency notes, which may be rupee in India or in dollars in USA. These currency notes or the coins have been printed or minted by the government or the government authorities, government monetary authority. You cannot, if you are living in a that country, say in India, you cannot refuse to accept rupee. If you are living in USA, you cannot accept to refuse payment in dollars. These are legal tenders. So far as checks are concerned, checks are issued by the individuals or the businesses to make the payment of debts or for the purpose of buying goods or for availing services. Checks are issued by a one person or an organization to another person. The checks are not issued by government of the country or by the central bank of the country. So the checks are not legal tender because these are not backed or issued by the government or the central bank of the country. Now we will read. You have before you one of the checks which has been issued by a one organization to another person. Here you will also find the difference in the words checks. In American English, the word is check, and in Indian or in UK English, the relevant word is written as this form CHEQUES, and if we use American English, the synonym will be CHECKS. Meaning is same, purpose is same. Here you have before you one of the examples of checks. Checks is a non-legal tender money. It is not issued by the government of the country or nor by the central bank of the country. If we are living in India, it is not by government of India, and it is also not issued by Reserve Bank of India, which is the central bank in India. It is generally accepted for the purpose of making transactions while buying goods and for availing services. It may be possible that we may be making payment to the seller by way of check, but legally a person is not bound to accept it. Suppose we go to a jewelry showroom, we buy jewelry and we ask the jewelry showroom that I will make the payment by check. The jewelry showroom may refuse to accept the check. Suppose if we want to purchase a car and we say that I will make the payment by check, the car dealer may refuse to accept the payment by check, because check is not a legal tender. You cannot force any person or business organization to accept the payment by check, because it is not legal tender. The person is not legally bound to accept the payment in check. However, if you make the payment in currency notes or coins, the coins are already discussed that coins are also a limited legal tender. If we make the payment by in India in currency notes of rupees, 500 rupee note or 200 rupee note, then that person cannot refuse to accept the same. But if you make the payment by check, that person may or may not accept the same. If you are having relationship with that car dealer, it may be possible that the car dealer or the jewelry showroom may accept the check. Further, postal orders, bank drafts are also seen as being non-legal tenders and accepted only at the option of the credit lender or seller. That is, seller may or may not accept the payment in postal order of bank drafts, because these are also non-legal tender. The person is not legally bound to accept the same, because bank drafts are issued by commercial banks, postal orders are issued by post offices. They are not issued by the government of the country or by the central bank of the country. The checks are also known as optional money, because it does not have legal backing and their acceptance is optional, that is at the will of the seller or the dealer. He may or may not accept the payment by way of checks. Next is there a difference between legal tender and other forms of money? The answer is yes. Legal tender is a specific form of money that must be accepted for transactions by law. That is, the government has declared that you cannot accept a particular currency or money as a medium of exchange. You have to accept the same. If you are selling something, you have to accept the payment in that currency which has been approved by the government as a medium of exchange for the purpose of transactions. Other forms of money, such as checks, may be accepted based on the mutual agreement between parties. That is, if both the parties know each other, the seller may accept the same, but the check is not a legal tender. Now the question is, which of the following is a legal tender money? Checks. Checks are issued by an individual or a business organization. These are not backed or issued by the government or the central bank. Demand drafts are not issued by the government. These are issued by the commercial banks. Postal orders are also not issued by the government or central bank. In case of India, RBI, Reserve Bank of India, does not issue postal orders, so it is not a legal tender money. All these. So the currency notes which we have in our wallet in the form of 10 rupee, 100 rupee, 200 rupee or 500 rupee currency notes, these are legal tender money, because these have the backing of government or the central bank of the country, and you can purchase goods and you can use currency notes for the purpose of making payment of debts or for the purpose of availing services. Next is, which of the following statements is false? Fixed deposits are not legal tender. It is correct, because fixed deposits are issued by commercial banks, so these are not legal tender. Okay, it is correct, but we have to find the statement which is false. Checks and postal orders are not legal tender. Okay, it is also correct. Checks are issued by commercial banks. Postal orders are issued by the post offices. These are also not legal tender because these are not issued by the government or reserve bank or the central bank of the country. Currency notes issued by the government are not legal tender. This is false. This is the answer. This statement is wrong because currency notes issued by the government are legal tender. You can purchase goods and avail services with the help of currency notes. The currency notes have been declared to be legally valid for the purpose of transactions or for the purpose of making goods, for the purpose of making payment in respect of goods and services, and for making payment in respect of debts. Thanks for watching. If you like our course, please spare some time to give a star rating to our course.